Holes, quit digging.
Okay, let's move to our next question. The third question for our candidates. Doug, we'll begin with you. 1 minute. How would you include the business community in discussion of immigration reform?
Both legal and illegal immigration have an impact on the business community along with state and local governments. I feel if we're going to undertake the task of immigration reform, setting standards as to the numbers and qualifications of immigrants, as well as the proper security procedures to protect against terrorist infiltration, we should consult with state and local governments as well as the business community.
Okay, let's go to Corey for his response. 1 minute response.
Well, thank you. First of all, I look forward to forming an advisory committee of businesses around the 4th Congressional District who will help discuss the need for legal immigration in this state, but also a way to prevent illegal immigration. Number one, I absolutely oppose amnesty. Betsy Markey supports a plan to amnesty. Number two, we have got to support a secure border and enforce our border security laws. Number three, we've got to create a workable, meaningful E-Verify system. If we do that, we will secure the border, create a fair system, and make sure that those people who want to come to the United States to build a better life for themselves and their family have an opportunity to do so, but that we are able to end the flow of illegal immigration into the United States.
All right, let's go to Ken for his response to that same question.
We need to bring all the players together and listen to their solutions to the illegal immigration problem. I have my own solution for immigration at kenwasco.com. But the bottom line is, we need to discover solutions, not excuses.
Okay, next question for our candidates. And Mr. Garner, you'll be the first responder on this when you have a minute. How do you feel about extending the tax cuts?
Right now, there's nearly $2 trillion of capital sitting on the books of businesses around this country. $2 trillion worth of capital that they could invest in hiring new people, expanding their businesses, creating new jobs, and driving this economy forward. But the reason they're not investing in our economy is because of economic uncertainty. And in large part, that economic uncertainty is due to the fact that this Congress has failed to extend the tax cuts. Businesses are afraid to invest because families, employees, and employers are going to be faced with higher taxes this January. Unfortunately, this Congress has failed to do its job once again. They adjourned and left town without extending the tax cuts, leaving businesses once again with more and more uncertainty. This Congress has failed to pass a budget for the first time since the modern budgeting process was put in place. This Congress has failed to secure and extend the tax cuts. We must extend them. We must extend them. I will not raise taxes in a recession.
All right, Mr. Wadsworth, let's go back to you for extending the tax cuts. A 1 minute response.
As another famous person once said, get her done. That was actually a comedian, not a politician like I did before, but you know, what's the difference, right? So, I don't want to rock the people's vote. You know, the people are dealing with enough right now. It's time we rock the government's vote and see what they can do without. I would temporarily extend the Bush tax rates, but then immediately work on implementing my flat tax plan as I explain in detail at kenwasco.com.
Okay, let's come back to Mr. Aiden for your 1 minute response on extending the tax cuts.
So what is the effect of, in the Colorado Congressional District 4, if Congress allows the tax cuts on small businesses and those earning over $250,000 to expire? Well, according to the Heritage Foundation, we would lose an additional 1,600 to 1,800 jobs each year in this district. Not something I'm willing to accept. Not only does raising taxes slow economic growth, but more importantly, deprive citizens of their property. So should we permanently extend those tax cuts during a period of deficit spending? Well, according to the CBO, which has warned repeatedly that making cuts permanent would substantially increase the federal deficit. So that sounds somewhat irresponsible also. Since our desire is not to lose additional jobs, and we can't afford to continually increase our national debt, we must temporarily extend those cuts and deal with the insatiable appetite of the national government to spend your money.
Okay, we're going to come back to Ken for the first response on our last question for these candidates. What is the role of government in job creation?
as I explained in my energy video at kenwasco.com, the federal government needs to provide a common goal and the inspiration that is needed for Americans on their own to be successful. Then, get out of our way. The people will do what needs to be done if you just give them the liberty.
Okay, Doug, your response?
If we want to create permanent gainful employment for American citizens, we must encourage industries to expand and locate in the United States. The only way that industries will consider expanding and moving to the U.S. is if it is economically feasible for them. Therefore, we should investigate the possibilities of using tariffs to protect the American jobs and encourage industries. According to our Constitution, tariffs are a legitimate revenue-generating measure. This solution will also need to be coupled with a reduction in spending of the federal government in order to have a lasting effect on our economy. But if wisely administered, they could potentially eliminate the individual income tax.
All right, and Mr. Garner, your opportunity to respond as well.
Well, thank you. Congress spent over $1 trillion in a failed stimulus bill, saying that they would keep unemployment below 8%, and they have failed. Spending is not the solution. Congress has failed to realize that government doesn't create jobs. The private sector creates jobs. The men and women in this room create jobs. Small businesses around the 4th Congressional District create jobs. Government needs to get out of the way. I mentioned before $2 trillion in capital that's sitting on the sidelines, waiting to be invested, but businesses hesitate to do that because of the uncertainty, because they're afraid of what happens next. Betsy Markey has voted for cap and trade. She voted for a health care bill. She voted for the failed stimulus package, and she co-sponsored card check. If we don't create certainty in this economy and send somebody to the 4th Congressional District who will actually put ideas forward that cut taxes, reduce regulations, and put people back to work by expanding the freedom of the private sector.
Okay, I apologize. We do have closing statements now. We're going to start at the other end. Ken, you're going to begin. Corey will be second. Doug will be third. And you do have a 1 minute mark for closing statement.
Voting for me will give you something that doesn't evoke the same feelings as in every other election. I am giving you solutions to problems, not pointing fingers at who's to blame. You may not agree with everything I say, but you will be able to trust what I say. I believe that there are more people that are devoted to their principles and their values than they are to a political party, and they've just been waiting for the time when someone will stand up for them. I am not a millionaire or a lawyer, and I don't have a political science degree. But what I do have is common sense and morals, which is what's missing in today's leadership. Fighting an uphill battle as an independent is not going to stop me from being the voice of unheard Americans who finally have someone who represents them. I am strong enough to represent the people. Help me show Washington that the American people still run this country, not career politicians. Find out more about me at kenwasco.com.
Okay, Mr. Berger?
I want to thank Ken and Doug for being here tonight. I want to thank you for participating and allowing us to be here. It was great to be here for the Unity in the Community event several months ago to learn about how we can make business even stronger in Longmont and northern Colorado and Boulder County. If you go to my hometown on 2nd Avenue and Main Street, you'll notice that there's a concrete block that says J.A.S. and Son 1910. That was the site of my great-great-granddad's hardware store that he moved his family to Yuma to build, to build a better life for his family. When my wife and I take our daughter walking down Main Street and we come upon that block, I wonder, is my daughter going to have the same kinds of opportunities that her great-great-great-granddad had to build an even better life for her family? If we continue the direction that this nation is heading, the answer is no. That's why I've developed an agenda of real solutions called the 2010 Plan that will put people back to work by expanding private enterprise, that will reduce taxes, bring transparency and accountability back to Washington. I'm Corey Gardner, and I'd be honored to earn your support.
All right, let's move to Mr. Aiden for his closing statement. You have 1 minute.
I believe my education in accounting and experience in assisting companies through difficult financial situations, combined with the experience of operating my own manufacturing company, provide me with many assets that will be helpful in dealing with the economic woes this country is experiencing. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to stop by my table or drop me an email. My website is aidenforcongress.com. All I request is that you research and vote for the candidates that will bring you liberty, justice, morality, and prosperity in our land again. Thank you.
All right, let's have a hand for the candidates.